Chapter 14. Economic Activities Around Us. Agriculture was the main activity for many people. Farmers grew crops like wheat, rice, and vegetables using simple tools like hoes and plows. They depended on seasonal changes for planting and harvesting. For example, a farmer would use a hand plow to prepare the field, sow seeds, and harvest crops by hand. All work was done manually, and the tools used were basic and made from materials like wood or stone. The classification of economic activities into economic sectors. Economic activities are the various ways people earn money and provide for themselves and their families. These activities are crucial for creating the goods and services we use every day and help the economy grow. We can categorize these activities into three main sectors: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Each sector plays a unique role and depends on the others to function smoothly. Let's explore these sectors in more detail with some examples. Primary sector. The primary sector consists of those activities concerned with the direct extraction of materials from nature. In this sector, people are engaged in agriculture, fishing, dairy farming and poultry farming, mining, forestry, etc. All these occupations are related to obtaining raw materials from the earth directly and hence are primary occupations. These primary activities involve directly using natural resources to produce goods. These are the foundation of the economy because they provide the raw materials needed for other sectors. Here are some key examples. Agriculture. Farmers grow crops and raise animals. For example, a farmer might cultivate corn and soybeans. After harvesting, the produce is sold in markets or to food companies. This helps provide food for people and income for farmers. Farmers also raise livestock, like cows or chickens, to produce meat and dairy products. Farmers also grow vegetables and fruits like tomatoes and apples. Their work ensures we have food on our tables. Fishing. Fishermen catch fish from rivers, lakes, and oceans. For instance, a fisherman might catch salmon and sell it to restaurants or markets. Fishing provides us with seafood and helps support those who rely on fishing for their livelihood. Mining. Miners extract valuable materials from the earth. For example, mining for coal involves digging up coal from the ground which is then sold to energy companies. This coal is then used to generate electricity. Other materials, like gold or iron ore, are also mined and used in various industries. Forestry. This involves managing and harvesting forests for timber and other medicinal products. For instance, forestry workers might cut down trees to produce lumber for building houses or furniture. They ensure that trees are cut down in a way that does not harm the environment. They also plant new trees to ensure forests continue to provide resources in the future. Secondary sector. The secondary sector includes industries that process, transform and assemble raw materials into products. For example, the cotton textile industry makes cloth from the cotton plant, a bakery makes bread, cakes, pizzas and biscuits from wheat, the steel industry converts iron ore into steel. All manufacturing industries also come in this sector. The secondary sector is dependent on the primary sector for raw material. Secondary activities involve transforming raw materials into finished goods. This sector adds value to the materials obtained from the primary sector and includes manufacturing and construction. Here's how it works. Manufacturing. Factories and workshops produce goods from raw materials. For example, a car factory takes parts made from metal, plastic, and rubber and assembles them into cars. These cars are then sold to people who need transportation. Other examples include making clothes, electronics like smartphones, and toys. Construction. This sector builds infrastructure and facilities. For instance, construction workers might build a new school, hospital, or highway. They use materials like concrete, steel, and wood. This work creates important structures and improvements that benefit the community. Food processing. Companies in this sector turn raw food materials into products that are ready to eat. For example, a factory might process wheat into flour, which is then used to make bread. This helps to ensure that food is safe, tasty, and convenient for consumers. Tertiary sector. The tertiary sector provides goods and services to people in exchange of payment. Once the product is ready, it needs to be made available to the people. Thus, the secondary and tertiary sectors are also linked. This sector covers activities like trading, banking, healthcare, transportation, communication, insurance, entertainment, security, management and consultancy, among several others. We need the services of doctors, bankers, policemen, etc. at every point, hence they are very important for us. Tertiary activities provide services rather than physical goods. These services support the other sectors and are essential for everyday life. Here are some examples. Transportation. This involves moving people and goods from one place to another. For example, bus drivers transport passengers to school or work, and truck drivers deliver goods from factories to stores. Transportation services are essential for getting products to the market and people to their destinations. Banking. Banks offer financial services, including managing money and providing loans. For instance, bank tellers help customers with deposits, withdrawals, and account management. Banks also offer loans for buying homes or starting businesses, which helps people and businesses grow. Education. Teachers and educators provide knowledge and skills to students. For example, a teacher in a classroom helps students learn subjects like maths, science, and language. Education is important for personal development and preparing individuals for the workforce. Healthcare. Healthcare professionals, such as doctors and nurses, provide medical services to keep people healthy. For example, a doctor examines and treats patients who are sick or injured. Healthcare services are crucial for maintaining public health and treating illnesses. Sectors are interconnected. The three sectors of economic activities are interconnected and rely on each other to function properly. Here's how they are linked. Primary sector provides raw materials. For example, farmers grow wheat, and miners extract iron ore. Secondary sector processes these raw materials into finished products. For example, flour mills grind wheat into flour, and steel factories turn iron ore into steel. Tertiary sector provides services related to these products and ensures they reach consumers. For example, transportation services deliver flour to bakeries, and retail stores sell the bread made from that flour. The three sectors of economic activities, primary, secondary, and tertiary, work together to provide the goods and services we use every day. Let's explore how these sectors are linked with a simple example. Example: the journey of a pencil. Primary sector. This is where raw materials come from. For pencils, the primary sector includes activities like logging. Forestry workers cut down trees to get the wood needed for pencils. Miners might also extract graphite from the ground, which is used for the pencil's lead. Example: a worker in a forest cuts down trees to gather wood. Another worker mines graphite from the earth. Secondary sector. This sector takes raw materials and transforms them into finished products. After the wood and graphite are collected, they are sent to a factory. In the factory, the wood is shaped into pencils, and the graphite is put inside the wooden pencil. The pencils are then painted and packaged. Example: in a pencil factory, workers shape the wood into pencil bodies and insert the graphite inside. They also paint and package the pencils for sale. Tertiary sector. This sector provides services to make sure products reach the people who need them. For pencils, this includes transportation services that deliver the pencils from the factory to stores. Retail workers in stores then sell the pencils to customers, like students who need them for school. Example: a truck driver transports the pencils from the factory to a bookstore. The cashier at the bookstore helps customers buy the pencils. This example shows how each sector plays a role in bringing a product from its raw form to a finished item that people use. By understanding these sectors, we can better appreciate how different jobs and services contribute to our daily lives and the economy. Each sector has an important role in making sure we have the goods and services we need. Dairy cooperative. From farm to plate. What is a milk cooperative? Imagine you and your friends decide to start a small lemonade stand together. Instead of each of you working separately and trying to sell lemonade alone, you all agree to join forces. You share the tasks, like making the lemonade, setting up the stand, and selling it to people who walk by. By working together, you can make more lemonade, sell it more efficiently, and split the profits equally. This is similar to how a milk cooperative works. A milk cooperative is a group of farmers who come together to manage the production and sale of milk. Instead of each farmer selling milk on their own, they join a cooperative, where they share responsibilities and profits. By doing this, they can make better decisions, get better prices, and improve their lives. Here's how Amul works. Collection. Farmers bring their milk to Amul's collection centers. Processing. The milk is then pasteurized, which means it's heated to kill harmful bacteria, making it safe to drink. Production. After pasteurization, the milk is used to make different products like cheese, butter, and milk powder. Packaging. The products are packaged in clean, sealed containers. Distribution. Amul then sells these products in stores and supermarkets, making them available to people all over the country. Let's discuss in detail. In Gujarat, farmers greet the day with the clinking of milk pails and the contented sounds of their cows and buffaloes. These animals are vital to the farmers and their families. After milking the cows, farmers sell the milk to a nearby dairy. At the end of the month, they get paid based on the quantity and quality of milk. However, this process was much more challenging about 50 years ago. In the early 1940s, farmers in Anand district had to sell milk in nearby villages, often cycling or walking in the scorching heat. Milk would spoil quickly, and farmers relied on middlemen who bought the milk at low prices and sold it for a profit. This often left farmers feeling cheated and disheartened. To address these issues, the farmers approached Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a prominent leader. He suggested forming a cooperative to eliminate the middlemen. Following his advice, the farmers established Amul in 1946, led by Tribhuvandas Patel and Dr. Varghese Kurian. This cooperative allowed farmers to manage milk production, pasteurization, and sales themselves, increasing their income and independence. This initiative brought farmers, including many women, together in a cooperative effort, giving them direct control over the production and sale of milk. Initially, these farmers faced challenges with middlemen who took a significant portion of their earnings. By forming a cooperative, they could make collective decisions on crucial aspects such as milk production, pasteurization, and sales. The tasks were shared by everyone, which helped raise their income gradually. They did not need the middlemen anymore and became like one big family. By managing the sales process themselves, the cooperative was able to set fair prices, ensure higher quality control, and retain more profit, which previously would have been taken by middlemen. As the cooperative grew and more farmers joined, they decided to expand their operations. They set up a factory in Anand, which became a central hub for processing the large quantities of milk they collected. The factory enabled them to produce a range of dairy products, including butter and milk powder, efficiently and on a larger scale. With their expanded product range, the cooperative established a presence in both retail and export markets. Products were sold in retail shops across the country, from small local stores to large supermarkets, making their dairy products accessible to a wide audience. Additionally, the cooperative ventured into the export market, sending their products to several countries around the world, which helped boost their revenue and global reputation. Today, the cooperative operates numerous milk processing plants and factories across India. Their success is a testament to the benefits of cooperative efforts, where farmers have gained economic independence, improved their incomes, and established a robust presence in both domestic and international markets. As more and more farmers began to see the benefits of the cooperative, it continued to grow. The quantity of milk that was being collected was so huge that the farmers decided to make other products out of it. They set up a factory in Anand and began to produce butter and milk powder. Today, the cooperative has a wide range of products made at many milk processing plants and factories all over India. Today, Amul produces a wide range of dairy products, including butter, cheese, yogurt, and milk powder. These products are transported and sold in both small and large retail shops all over the country. In fact, they also export the products to several countries around the world. This success story shows how cooperation and innovation can transform the livelihoods of farmers, providing a sustainable model for agricultural communities. This cooperative illustrates the three economic sectors. Primary sector. Farmers milk their cows, a natural resource. Secondary sector. Factories process the milk into products like butter and cheese. Tertiary sector. Transportation services distribute these products to shops and consumers. For instance, a farmer milks his cows and delivers the milk to the cooperative collection center. This activity belongs to the primary sector. The milk is then transported to a processing plant where it is turned into various products like butter, cheese, and milk powder, which represents the secondary sector. Finally, these products are distributed to stores and supermarkets across the country and internationally, involving the tertiary sector. This story highlights how the three sectors of the economy are interconnected. The primary sector provides the raw materials, the secondary sector processes these materials into finished products, and the tertiary sector ensures that these products reach the consumers. This interdependence ensures that the economy functions smoothly and efficiently. The recycling process. Paper recycling begins with the collection and sorting of used paper from various sources, including homes, schools, and businesses. Once collected, the paper is sorted to remove any non-paper materials such as plastic or metal. It is then shredded into small pieces to facilitate further processing. Collection and sorting. Used paper is collected from homes, schools, and businesses. It is then sorted to remove any non-paper items, such as plastic or metal. Shredding. The sorted paper is shredded into small pieces to make it easier to process. Pulping. The shredded paper is mixed with water and chemicals to break it down into a mushy substance called pulp. This pulp is then cleaned to remove any impurities. Processing. The clean pulp is spread out on large screens to form sheets. These sheets are dried and pressed to remove excess water and create new paper products. Finishing. The dried paper sheets are rolled up, cut, and packaged as new paper products ready for use. The shredded paper is mixed with water and chemicals to create a pulp. This pulp is cleaned to remove impurities and is then spread onto large screens to form sheets. These sheets are dried and pressed to eliminate excess water, resulting in new paper products. Environmental benefits. Saving trees. Recycling paper helps in saving trees, which are essential for maintaining ecological balance and absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Recycling paper reduces the need for cutting down trees. For every ton of paper recycled, approximately 17 trees are saved. This is because recycling paper uses the fiber from old paper rather than requiring new wood pulp from trees. By saving trees, we help protect forests, which are crucial for maintaining wildlife habitats and absorbing carbon dioxide from the air. Reducing landfill waste. Paper that is not recycled ends up in landfills, where it takes up valuable space. Landfills are areas where waste is buried, and they can become full quickly. Recycling paper helps reduce the amount of waste in landfills. Recycling just 1 ton of paper saves 2.5 cubic meters of landfill space, which is equivalent to the space of about one small room. Conserving energy and water. Making paper from recycled materials uses less energy and water compared to producing paper from raw wood pulp. Specifically, recycling paper uses about 70% less energy and water. This is important because it helps conserve these valuable resources and reduces pollution. Energy conservation. Producing new paper from recycled materials requires less energy because the fibers are already processed. This results in lower greenhouse gas emissions and reduces our carbon footprint. Water conservation. Less water is needed in the recycling process, which helps preserve water supplies and reduces water pollution. Paper manufacturing traditionally uses large amounts of water, which can pollute rivers and lakes if not managed properly. Economic benefits. Recycling paper creates jobs in the recycling industry and reduces the cost of managing waste. It also supports sustainable practices, which can lead to innovations and improvements in other areas of recycling and waste management. Economic advantages. The recycling industry creates jobs and supports sustainable practices, contributing to economic growth. By reducing the costs associated with waste management and supporting innovation in recycling processes, paper recycling offers significant economic benefits. Personal contribution. Setting up a recycling bin for paper at home and separating it from other waste types is an effective way to contribute to recycling efforts. Reducing paper use by opting for digital documents and minimizing unnecessary printing further supports environmental conservation. Participating in local recycling programs and encouraging others to recycle paper helps promote a more sustainable future. By understanding and engaging in paper recycling, individuals play a vital role in conserving resources, protecting the environment, and fostering sustainability. By implementing these strategies, schools and offices can significantly reduce their paper consumption, save resources, and contribute to environmental conservation. These practices not only help in managing costs but also set a positive example for students and staff about the importance of sustainability.